Hey guys, Bobby here, and if you are a wedding filmmaker or any content creator looking for a new gimbal and considering picking up the Zhiyun WEEBILL Lab, and if you aren't considering it, you should, then this video is for you. This is going to be a detailed video, but overall I am very impressed with this gimbal, and while I did not expect to like it, after getting to use it for a little, I am actually considering keeping this and selling my Zhiyun crane. Also, this is a completely honest review, and I'm going to go over both the pros and the cons of the WEEBILL Lab, but this unit was provided to me, so I think that technically makes it a sponsored video, and I'm required to let you know. So to make it easy for you guys, I'm going to give you a few quick overview type facts on the stabilizer. Then we're going to get into my first impressions and my experience balancing it, followed by some actual footage, and then the pros and things that really stood out to me about this, and finally the cons and improvements that I would like to see made upon the WEEBILL Lab. So if you're only interested in specific parts, you can certainly skip ahead, but I'll try to keep everything brief, and there are definitely important things in each of those categories. So the Zhiyun WEEBILL Lab is the latest camera gimbal by Zhiyun, the same people who make the Crane and the Crane 2. It's got a weight limit of about 6.5 pounds and a 10-hour claimed battery life if you aren't streaming the video. The base price point is $599 US, but there are other package versions available that include additional accessories. And the base package comes with the gimbal, a mounting plate, tripod base, one set of batteries, a charger, and a variety of cords, which all pack up into a decent quality foam case. My first impressions of this thing are overall very positive. When I first opened it, there were two things that really stood out to me, and the first of which was the form factor, as Zhiyun really went a bit of a different direction with this thing. It's not like every other one-handed gimbal out there, like the Crane and the Ronin S, the Moza Air, and others. It's compact and it's shaped a bit differently, even though it functions similarly. The other thing that really hit me was just how small this thing is, which is a huge factor when filming weddings, as we always want to be as mobile as possible, especially since we travel often for shoots. Having something that can pack up small and quick is always a big benefit. The gimbal is more plastic than some other gimbals that I've used, but it does feel well built and it doesn't feel cheap overall. After opening this and just staring at it for a little bit, I got it balanced, and this was by far the easiest gimbal that I have ever balanced, and I have balanced a lot. The Ronin S, the Zhiyun Crane, Crane 2, Karma Grip, Osmo Mobile, and the Moza Mini, among others. It took me all of 5 minutes to balance this perfectly, and that is partially due to the locking mechanisms, which I will get into in a little bit. Of course, nothing matters if the footage isn't good, so let's talk about my experience shooting with it. Overall, I really liked it. I felt that it handles similarly to other one-handed gimbals when it's in upright mode, and it is way easier to put into undersling mode. The footage is smooth and the gimbal was easy to control, producing footage that I feel is on par with other great gimbals like the Zhiyun Crane and the Ronin S. So now let's jump into some of the pros of this gimbal. First and foremost, again, is the size and portability, and I cannot stress that enough. It packs up really small, especially with the tripod base taken off, and it could easily fit in a messenger bag with plenty of room left over. It can also be packed up while it's fully intact and you don't need to take anything apart, which was always a major complaint that I had with the Zhiyun Crane. It also works in both an upright mode and an underslung mode without needing to do any fancy maneuvers and hoping that the motors catch on like with other gimbals. Next is that there are locks for each motor, which are separate from the adjustment knobs. This allows you to travel more safely with the gimbal with less chance of damage to the motors, and it also makes it much easier to balance, as you can just unlock the motor or axis that you're balancing while keeping the others locked. Another cool feature of the WEEBILL Lab is that you can use your phone as a monitor, and there are also an array of other things you can do through the ZY Play app. The video transmission is only 720p, and the base unit does not come with the phone mount, but it's still a pretty cool feature. I use the small HD focus as my monitor, which I love, and the WEEBILL Lab has multiple places where I could mount this or any other accessories that I want, which is much better than having to use a clamp like I currently do, and it allows you to expand your kit. The rear motor is low, which is nice to be able to see the camera screen, and the gimbal works with Manfrotto plates, which is what we use, though it does include its own camera plate as well if you'd like. Lastly, you can control a variety of different camera functions like ISO, aperture, shutter speed, and others from the buttons and the dials on the WEEBILL Lab, so you don't have to reach up and touch the camera. And it does have a follow focus wheel on the side that works with their follow focus motor, available separately and included in some of the more expensive packages. Now let's get into some of the cons and the things that I generally don't like about the WEEBILL Lab. One thing that immediately stuck out to me is that you use the tripod base folded up as the handle. Now, whether you're using it in upright mode or underslung mode, this is the case, and you really do need to use this as the rest of the handle is full of buttons and other things that you could easily bump if you hold it there. And there's only one tripod base, but you do have a handle in two places. So you do have to switch the handle around, which isn't too difficult or time consuming, but it is an extra step. However, I guess you could probably just buy another tripod base and keep both attached if you wanted to. Another issue that I noticed that the joystick control seems a little inconsistent, and I had a difficult time being precise with it. There may be a setting that can be changed in the app, but I don't use the joystick all that much while filming, so for me this isn't a big deal, but it's definitely worth noting. A few other smaller things that stood out to me is that the focus wheel is on the left side, and since I'm left-handed and prefer to hold the gimbal with my dominant hand, I likely won't be using this as it's on the wrong side for me. The control wheel on the front feels oddly cheap to me. And lastly, it only comes with one set of batteries, which isn't the end of the world, but I would definitely prefer to have two. So overall, this was a product that I had all but ignored as I was happy with my Zhiyun crane, and I didn't think this would be of interest to me at all. But in the end, I was really impressed with how this handled and the features that it offers, so much so that I am contemplating making this my main gimbal and selling my Zhiyun crane. So there it is, guys, my overview of the Zhiyun WEEBILL Lab, going over my first impressions and the pros and cons of this camera stabilizer. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments below. And as always, like this video, subscribe, and follow along for more videos.